Welcome to 3ioNetra 2.0 onboarding process. So this is the first Excel file which will be shared with all the clients. So in this sheet, all the temples and the trust have to provide their details so that we can initiate the process of registration. So in this screen, first temple have to provide their details, which is temple name or the trust name, city name, state, and their full address, and details of the admin in whose name the entire account will be created. So the login credentials will be provided in their name and we will be using their mobile number and email ID to create the account. Let's start with filling the masters for the software. So in this, as you can see, based on the selected modules, all the temple have to fill the masters and the corresponding sheets based on which 3ioNetra's team will fill the masters. So first, let's start with Nitya Seva. So if you have opted for Nitya Seva, then it is mandatory to fill Deity Master and Nitya Seva Masters. To fill the masters, you just have to click on the master name and you will be redirected to a particular sheet. So in this sheet, as you can see, this is the Deity Master sheet. So here, like few temples have multiple deities and few temples have only single deity. So based on that, you have to fill the deity names here. Then second, you can go back to the summary page. Next, you have to fill the Nitya Seva Masters. Here, based on the deity names, you have to provide Seva name, corresponding ledgers. If you want to map all the accounts into the tally and end of the month import all the data into tally, so only in that case you need to provide the ledger name. Next is the Seva amount, and if the Seva amount is editable. So in cases of few temple, if there are some Sevas where or the pujas where the amount is not fixed, if it is editable, then here you can just mention yes, as you have shown in the example. So this is the example where the deity name is Ganpati, Seva name is Flower Puja, ledger name is also same, amount is 501, and if you enter here yes, then this 5001 can be edited at the future date during the booking process. If you select no in the editable field, then the same amount Seva will be performed or booked to the person sitting at the counter will not be able to change the amount while booking the Seva. Let's go back to the summary page. Next is Panchang SAA. Panchang SAA is nothing but Nitya Seva only. Only the difference is in Nitya Seva, the Seva booking process happens on a purely English calendar, and in Panchang SAA, the Nitya Sevas can be booked based on the Panchangam. So here also same process will be followed. First you have to fill the Deity Master, then Nitya Seva Masters, plus additionally two additional masters which the temple has to fill, that is the Tithi, Paksha, Masa and the Nakshatra Masters. So let's proceed to that page. So as you can see here, first temple has to provide all the Masas. So every temple, how they spell the Masa is different, so that is the reason we are taking the Masa list from all the temples. So you have to first enter the Masa list, the Paksha list, Tithis for that Tithis for the Panchangam, and the Nakshatra list. We have given a few examples here, so based on that you can fill the masters. Next is the yearly Panchangam. So in yearly Panchangam, so what happens is, as I said, in Panchanga Seva module, the person sitting at the counter will be able to book the Seva based on the Panchangam. But for system to understand how the Panchangam works and what is the mapping between all the English date and the corresponding Panchang values, so what we do is basically for all the English date, the temple has to provide Masa, Paksha, Tithi and Nakshatra mapping, which we will be importing into the system, which will provide an understanding for the system that on which day what is the combination of the Panchangam. So this will be a annual activity which temple has to do on a recurring basis, and accordingly the system will get updated. Let's go back to the summary page. Next is the Utsav Seva. So Utsav Sevas are type of Sevas which are like in case of Ganesh Utsav, Navratri Utsav, Ashadi Ekadashi. So any temple, if they have a specific occasion for which they want to have a different set of Sevas, and this Sevas can be booked only for that particular period. So in that case, temple can select Utsav Seva and fill the masters. As you can see in the screen, so here the temple has to first mention the name of the event. So first I'll show you the examples. For example, event name is Ram Navami, and the Ram Navami falls on from this date to this date. Just this is just an example. From like for few days the event is there. Then you have to add the Seva name, Seva date, the ledger name, Seva amount, and the same concept, editable yes or no. And if the particular Seva can be performed on multiple dates, then you have to select both the dates. Or if the Seva can be performed on all the dates between this two date range, then just mention all the days. So on any day the devotees can book the Seva. So this is the masters. So here you have to fill all the event name, from date to date, the corresponding Seva name, Seva date. Seva date is specifically on which all date the Seva can be performed. If it can be performed on all the dates between the from date and to date, here you have to just mention all the dates, Seva amount, and amount editable yes or no. Let's go back to summary page. Next comes Shashvat Seva Masters. So Shashvat Seva Masters, the Shashvat Seva is basically Sevas which will be performed on a recurring basis. Means the Seva will be booked once by the devotee, and for next 10 to 15 years or for 20 years, the Seva will be booked, or the Seva will be performed on the specific date or the Panchangam combination which the temple selects. So for this, these are the 4 to 5 masters which is mandatory for temple to fill. As you have seen, first is the Deity Master, second is the Shashvat Seva Master. So in Shashvat Seva, it is same, like first you have to enter the deity name which should match with the Deity Master, then the Seva name, Seva amount, and whether the amount is editable yes or no. So after you fill the Shashvat Seva Masters, you have to add Shashvat Seva special events. So this is only this is optional. So some temples where they want to they want, if they want to set up a date on which Shashvat Seva can be performed, for example Punya Tithi of any Swamiji, or like day 1 of Ganesh Utsav, day 2 of Ganesh Utsav. So in this you can define a event or a occasion and the corresponding date, and the date has to be changed every year. And whenever a Seva or a Shashvat Seva is performed and this event is selected, so what will happen is on that specific day this particular puja will appear in the reports. So let's enter the Shashvat Seva special events. So here you have to enter the event name and then corresponding date. As you can see in the example also, event name and the date. So if any devotee books Seva, for example some kind of Abhishekam Seva for Ashadi Ekadashi, then automatically in the reports that Seva will show on January 1st of 2024. The next year when temple changes the date to some other date, so on that date the Seva will be shown. So this is how the correlation between the Seva, Shashvat Seva events and the Shashvat Seva is done. Let's go back to the summary page. Then next, Tithi, Paksha, Masa, Nakshatra, Master, and yearly Panchangam. So this and this is same. So here also, as I said earlier, you have to fill all the masters. So for Panchangam Seva and for Shashvat Seva, the same master is filled. So if you have filled this for Panchangam Seva, then you can skip this process. Next is donations. So in donation we have two kind of options. One is donation in amount and donation in kind. So first you have to click on the sheet and you will be redirected into sheet number 8. So first you have to enter donation type. So this is basically a type of donations which the temple accepts, and we have given some of the examples here. For example, general donation, building fund, go seva, renovation fund. So temple has to type name of the fund or name of the donation, then ledger names and amount. So if the amount is variable, where like temple accept different amounts, you can keep this blank. And in case where sevas for in case of the donation where you want to take a fixed amount, you can add the amount like this. Okay, that is that. Next is donation in kind master. Donation in kind is any item other than the amount which the temple receives, and if they want to make note of all those items and issue a receipt, so in such cases temple has to just mention the list of items what they accept at the counter. So in this case, jewelry, example is jewelry, furniture, groceries, saris, rice, fruits, or whatever the item is. So when you book the seva, you just have to select the item and proceed with the remarks. So here it is important to fill all the items which the temple accepts, and the category can be of 3 types. One is jewelry, asset and general. So any gold jewelry, diamond jewelry. So if you mention any jewelry for the deity, in that case the donation category will be jewelry. If you are accepting any furniture, computer or fan, AC, tube light, anything, in that case it will be of category asset. And then any other consumables like oil, rice, sari, you can mention as a general category. Next, let's move to the summary page again. Then we have coupons module. So coupons module basically is like any smaller denomination sevas or income sources for the temple can be mentioned here. And in this, in case if temple wants to create a coupon which is linked to a DT, then it is important to add Deity Masters also. So first add a Deity Master, then in the coupon name you have to add all the coupon names, and here we have given some examples also. Like a few temples have entry pass, Anadan pass, Arti, Kunkumarchana, Panchamrit Abhishekam. So all such small value items can be listed into coupon masters. And the benefit of coupon master is coupon masters like we normally issue thermal prints, so which is a very cost effective prints. So in this case, all the smaller value sevas or the income flows for the temple can be mapped into this module. So if the particular coupon name or the seva name is mapped to a DT, then mention the DT name or else leave it blank. Then enter the coupon name, enter the amount, enter the ledger name, and we are set. Now let's go back to the summary page. Next we have miscellaneous income. Miscellaneous income is like any income source which is not covered in other modules. So let's go to miscellaneous income master. So in miscellaneous income master, you can see that any, and we have given some of the examples here, that any income which is not covered in the other modules which the temple has. For example, hundi opening, sale of scrap, or an auction amount, or any other things like interest from the FDs can be entered into this module. So for that you have to give a list of all the income sources and the corresponding ledger names. Let's go back to the summary page. Next is cash and bank account. So this is a very crucial part of the masters, wherein the temple has to provide list of all the bank accounts and the cash accounts. So what happens is, whenever any income or expense entry is done into the software, all the entries are linked to either the cash account or the bank account. So the credit and debit happens and a virtual passbook is created for both the cash accounts and bank accounts. So it is important to provide different cash accounts. So for example, petty cash opening balance and the opening balance date. And then, so in this, what happens is, like we have mentioned, two different cash accounts. The one cash account will be used when any income is received, it will be mapped to the petty cash. And then we have one more cash account, which is cash receipts. So what will happen is, any payments what we have to make, so in that case this account will be used. So if we are withdrawing any amount from the bank, and then in that case that withdrawn amount can be added into the cash receipts. So our support team can explain this concept in detail. So if anyone has any doubt or clarity, if they have any doubt, then they can connect with the support team. Then the bank account. Here, as we have given the example, Canara Bank, branch, ledger name, account number, IFSC code, opening balance amount, and opening balance date. So you can enter all these things and provide to us. So this, without this we cannot start the application. So this is a very mandatory master. Then let's go to the expense master. So expense master, as it says, all the expenses has to be mapped here. So in Temple, as we know that there are different kinds of expenses, so Temple can list all the groups and the subgroups, as you can see in the example. So office expenses, and then it can be further subgrouped into stationery, toner, refill. If it is salary, then salary. So different expense ledger groups means the categories, and the subcategories can be added here, and accordingly in the software the expenses can be expense vouchers can be generated. Let's go back to the summary page. The last is Rashi and Gotra masters. So in case where during the booking process, if Temple wants us to capture Rashi and Gotra of the Temple of the Rashi and Gotra of the devotee, in that case the Temple has to provide us list of all the Rashis and all the Gotras, because as I said earlier, the spelling and the pronunciation of the Rashi and Gotra is different for every temple. So the same spelling has to be, or the same data has to be provided to us, and which will add into the software. So let's go back to the summary page. So this is all the masters what we require for the for setting up the software. But it is not mandatory to fill all the masters, only the required modules. Based on the required modules of the temple, only those modules has to be filled. And if in case the temple has any issues to understand how to fill the masters, then they can connect with our support team, and on the so you will get this Excel file on email. So on the same email you can respond back to us. Thank you.